The time is now 6:04 p.m. and I will call to order this hybrid public meeting. It is November 5th, 2025. My name is Andy Gregg and I'm Vice Chair of Historic Preservation Commission. Regular meetings and public hearings of the Clark County Historic Preservation Commission are held at hybrid format with both in-person as well as virtual participation options for commissioners, staff, and the public. If you can't see the screen and have joined by phone only, I will be announcing the agenda items as we move through the meeting topics. Members of the public and applicants that have joined remotely are attendees. Other event participants cannot hear your audio unless you're acknowledged by the chair or staff and are unmuted. This evening's agenda is as planned. Roll call, public comments for subjects other than the public hearings on the meeting's agenda, as there will be specific public comment periods as part of the hearings. Updates from partner organizations, new business, old business, commission announcements and events, subcommittee updates, good of the order, and adjournment. Are there any amendments to the agenda? We'll now call roll of the HPC members who are present for this meeting. Commission members, please say, "I'm here," after I call your name. Jan Bader.
Here.
Morgan Frazier.
Here.
Madison Gabig.
Here.
Andy Gregg is here. John Zingali.
Here.
And please note that Elaine Thatcher is excused this evening. Thank you, everyone, for participating. Do I have a motion to approve the September 3rd summary meeting minutes?
I'll make a motion to approve the September meeting minutes.
Morgan's moved that they be approved. Is there a second?
Second.
Jan seconds the motion. All in favor of approving the September 3rd summary meeting minutes, please say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
Appears to be a unanimous vote. Now we're going to hear updates from our partner organizations. We will begin with the regular
Andy, you
update.
missed public comments.
Oh dear. So I did. Thank you, Dan. Following the script the best I can here. Are there any public comments for subjects other than public hearings on this meeting's agenda? There will be. Are there any?
So we don't have anybody else online, but we have a couple folks in the room. So we'll start with Doug. You can identify yourself for the record.
Hi, I'm Doug Wilson, and I'm an archaeologist. Hey, Andy. Hey,
and
John.
The former vice chair of the Historic Preservation Commission.
That's correct. So I am on furlough now, but my normal day job is with the National Park Service with the National Register program. However, today I'm coming from my neighborhood association. I live in South Cliff, and I am extremely happy to tell you all that we are pursuing a nomination for a district for the South Cliff neighborhood, which would be, according to Michael Hauser at the DAP, would be the first mid-century modern district, residential district in the state of Washington. So I just wanted to let the commission know as we're getting started, and we're hopefully be able to run some things by you or ask for help at some point. And we're just kind of getting started in recording the housing and putting together historical context. But we're gonna try to do it in-house. So wish us luck.
Wonderful news, Doug. In fact, I was going to pipe up and say that I don't think there's ever been a mid-century modern district that in my knowledge. So congratulations.
It's a bit out of my bailiwick, but
I just came from Milwaukee, and I got to visit one of their historic districts, which was Frank Lloyd Wright's American Built Homes, where he built 7 in a row on a block.
Oh, that's great.
For common people and even duplexes. and it was really a treat. So historic districts really have a lot to give a community.
And Doug is too selfie-facing to say this, but he also serves on the faculty at Portland State University in the archaeology department. And today, one of his graduate students defended her master's thesis about historical sites that included Fort Vancouver. Is that correct, Doug?
Tomorrow.
Oh.
Actually, I think it's a week from tomorrow.
Okay.
Close.
I'm still following you on Facebook, clearly. So
I can tell. I better check and make sure I don't have to call in tomorrow.
or that it wasn't today.
Wasn't today.
Wasn't today, yeah.
Anything else, Doug, or?
That takes care of it. So stay tuned, and you'll be seeing probably drafts if you're willing to look at them, and certainly the nomination before it goes up to the state. Thanks.
Thank you,
Great.
Doug.
Thank you, Doug.
And we have a second participant in-house.
Okay. Just listening. Okay, cool. All right. No more comments from the room, so we can move on to whatever Holly has this evening.
We'd like to welcome Holly Chamberlain, who represents the Historic Trust, and will give us a monthly update. Thank you, Holly.
Good evening, Commissioner, staff, and guests. I am happy to say that the punch walk for the Sacred Heart Garden at Ed Lynch Square at Providence Academy was held this morning. The construction is largely done, and the fence will be coming down on Friday. A few items are not yet installed due to shipping delays, such as light poles for the plaza, but everything is expected to be done by the end of the month. An official opening is planned for spring, but there will be a soft opening on December's first Friday from 4 to 8 p.m., and that will include Santa. You can pre-register for a time to visit Santa on the Trust website, although walk-ins will be accommodated to the extent possible. The portico rehabilitation is virtually complete, except for a few paint touch-ups. An application for Academy Infirmary rehabilitation support has been submitted to the DAR Historic Preservation Fund for the work needed prior to designing exhibits. Over on the Historic Reserve side, fall work includes the annual gutter cleaning and seasonal leaf extravaganza. Tree trimming is done for the year. October windstorms brought down only small branches and didn't cause any lasting damage. A prowler broke a window at the artillery barracks recently and walked around inside. Other than the window, however, no damage was done. The intruder was caught on camera, and Vancouver police are pursuing the case. Marshall houses 152 September guests were more international than usual, with visitors from Germany, Hong Kong, and Guam. Overall, more than 50% of the guests that month were from more than 50 miles away. The Trust submitted comments on October 16th to IBR Cultural Resources staff regarding the Fifth Amendment to the area of potential effect. Included were comments advocating for preservation of the Weber Building, which is now in the APE. University of Washington research scientist Dr. Muhammad Ahmad will speak on When Your Grandpa is a Bot, AI, Death, and Digital Doppelgangers on November 13th. The free program in partnership with Humanities Washington will start at 6 p.m. at the Red Cross Building, 605 Barnes Street. You can register online at thehistorictrust.org. The 2025 Low Legacy Veterans Day Parade is coming right up on Tuesday, November 11th at 11 a.m. It will start on the east end of Officers Row, travel west on Evergreen to Fort Vancouver Way, and turn south to 5th Street. More than 70 marching units are registered. Post-hospital tours last month sold out. The next ones are scheduled for May 2026 for National Historic Preservation Month. Nominations are open until December 3rd for the 2026 General George C. Marshall Leadership Awards for high school seniors and adults 35 and under. These awards are given to encourage emerging local leaders who have demonstrated commitment to their communities. And there's information about that on the Trust website as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Holly. Are there any other partner organizations who would like to give a report?
We're not seeing anyone else online or in the room.
Thank you, Bart. Move on to new business. First in the new business agenda, we'll discuss proposed updates to the Commission's Rules and Procedures document. Bart, would you please kick off this conversation?
Yeah, and I was saying to Susan before the meeting, everyone other than Madison in this group is very familiar with what we're trying to do with this project. And I think we brought Madison up to speed fairly well when we discussed it at the last meeting. I have no intention of dragging folks through a section by section review of what's here. The version of the introduction and bylaws that is posted online and is in front of everybody is the latest, greatest version that incorporates all of the relevant comments that I got from all of you. Jan and former chair Julie gave, in particular, a nice and detailed comments. The only thing I would add before I open it up for questions is two things. Number one, when Julie offered her comments, one of the things that she said repeatedly was she wanted hyperlinks in the document. That's kind of that just really depends on where the document's posted and what particular links you're talking about. Some things that make sense, and when we finalize the document and make a digital version, there will be links to certain things within it. Some stuff gets updated so often that hyperlinks don't make sense to have even in a digital document. So I know Julie's not online tonight, but I wanted to make that clear to everybody because her comments said that. Other than that, I just wanted to remind everybody more generally that the format of what you're seeing, if you compare it to the existing rules and procedures, which hopefully we will be swapping out for this pretty soon, or by the bylaws section at least. This is much shorter and hopefully more succinct. It's a little more code oriented, and the model that we used as a framework was the Planning Commission rules and procedures that had been vetted and approved shortly before we started down this project a couple years ago. So I'm happy to answer any particular questions anybody might have, and after that, my hope is that we could have a motion to approve this section, and then we will roll it into approving the overall document when we're done with the other three major sections of it later in the coming months. Thank you.
Thanks, Bart.
So one piece of feedback I provided Bart is I'm not sure it's important to have the questions that you're asking potential commission members as part of this document and being officially adopted by the Preservation Commission, because you might want some flexibility in the questions you're asking potential commission members and not have to go back to the commission and have it reapproved before you ask those questions. So that was just otherwise it looks great. But that was my thinking of, do you really want to include the questions that you might ask potential commission members in an official document?
Good point, Jan. Any discussion on that?
I do feel I had the same question. I mean, it does say suggested questions, right? It doesn't say that they're the.
Yeah, just a little closer.
A little closer, a little
Yeah.
closer. It doesn't say that they are mandatory questions. They're just suggested questions. But that I had the same question, kind of why that was added as an appendix to this section.
It's how it was before. We just inherited it this way. It's very simple to remove that because Appendix A is only mentioned once in the body of the section. Any other thoughts on that? Andy, John?
None for me. Jan's point's well taken.
I'm indifferent to it. I'm going to defer to the ones that have been here a little bit longer than me on that, but yeah, as long as they're
Okay.
suggested, but yeah.
Does that make you comfortable, Jan? The word suggested, or I'm happy to remove it, but everybody would need to be on the record wanting to remove it.
It's fine. I'm not a hill that I'm going to die on. I just felt like it was kind of weird to have it in there, but because it's an officially adopted document and you want to have some flexibility, but we can leave it in there since it says suggested.
Okay. It's not preventing anyone from adding new questions. The main thing is, do we just need to be really consistent with our screening so that everybody gets the same questions so that there's not favoritism or an odd process. That's all.
I would move to approve this.
I would second that.
It's been moved and seconded that the document be approved. Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye, please.
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Thank you, Bart.
Thank you. And just to reiterate, the idea is when we have room on the upcoming agendas, we'll just march through the other sections. The other sections will not be complete rewrites like this because they're more tied to the Secretary's standards and design review standards and things. So they'll look a little different than this. Thank you all.
Thank you. Next, we'll have an update on the status of the 2026 Historical Promotion Grants.
Back to me. So our review committee met actually this Monday. I had hoped to do it earlier than that, but I'm glad we got everybody together. Madison and John and Andy all made time on Monday afternoon, and we had what I felt was a very good discussion about the applications we received this round. I think there's a couple things to keep in mind as you look at this draft memo, which is the format of the memo that we generally give to County Council.
Can you put the memo up on the screen, Bart?
Yeah, sure. Thanks. I'm multitasking. Sorry. Okay. There's the memo. Two things to keep in mind. Number one, Susan especially did a whole lot of work earlier in the summer with our budget department to make the current fund balance work with the extensions that were asked for. That's not directly relevant to this year's applications, but it's something to keep in the back of our mind as we think about how we process these moving forward. Second, we did our usual touch base with the budget department. And unfortunately, because of the decline in recording fees, which is what funds this account over the last couple years, we have not been holding steady at a rate where we could continue to give $50,000 or $60,000 like we did the last few years. And so the direction that we got was the maximum that we could give this year, regardless of what applications we got, was $30,000, and next year as well if things don't change. And that $30,000 actually would still be drawing the fund down. It would not be a break-even amount. It was more with the hope that the economy would bump up recording fees. So when we went into our meeting, I made the committee aware of that, and that was something that is a relevant consideration when you have even though there was only 4 applications, a couple of them were sizable. So the 2 that the commission thought were the most responsible and most tied to the core mission of the grant program, as we understand it, are the 2 that are mentioned in the memo. And the one in particular for the Camas-Washougal Historic Society was the smallest of the grants, and it was fairly concise in what they wanted. So it was pretty unanimous that one made sense to fully fund. And then the one from the Hawkinson School District also was looked at very encouragingly by the group, but they had written the 2 different parts to their grant. And the first part was a standard thing we see a lot, which is the interpretive, how did they phrase it?
Panels.
Yeah, the interpretive panels actually for schools, which is kind of neat. We don't see that very often. And that was a discrete set of money. And then funding for field trips. And we get field trip requests fairly often. Unfortunately, they grouped 3 next year and then the 2 succeeding years all together. And these grants can only fund the next calendar year. So what you see as the recommendation for 14,218 would be just the prorated amount for next year's field trip. The other 2 grants are of public record, but I don't really want to go into the details of them. One of them was kind of incomplete, and one of them was a partial ask for a fairly large construction project, and they would have gone way over the 30,000 to fund those. So the decision was made for this recommendation. And with that, I'd like to open it up to John and Madison and Andy if they had anything to say and any other questions.
That was an excellent summary.
Yeah, it really was.
I was
I guess-
excited to see new people.
Yeah, I mean, I'll just say, we did look. I'm excited for the field trip. Originally, they were asking for 3 years, which we can't do because it has to be spent next year. But I think, Bart, correct me, we're reaching out to try to say, like, we'd love to try to do 1 year for next year for them too, right?
The idea that I have on my notes from our meeting is that once this gets approved by council, assuming it does, then I would reach out to all the applicants individually. I think that the asks this year were different enough that they all deserve not just a form letter, but kind of an individual touch base, both why they got approved or why they didn't get recommended.
Yeah, so I'm excited for the interpretive panels for the school. As a teacher, that's important to me. I think that's great. And then as I don't know how many people know, but with budget cuts to all the schools right now, field trips are like off the table almost entirely for so many schools. So the fact that we can help fund one for some students this next year, I think that's near and dear to my heart, and I'm glad that we can do that.
I was excited to see the support for the rural community.
An important internal note, I thought there was very constructive and sensitive consideration of all the applications and their relative strengths and weaknesses. And so it was a well-conducted subcommittee meeting. And I thought that the ability to partially fund one of the applications to fully fund another was a really good thing. And it's important for colleagues to know that 2 of the other applications that did not receive funding to approve one of them would almost exhaust the available funds. And so another important thing is that because there are fewer dollars to deal with now, that to hang on to some for a carryover was a good move in terms of capacity building. And so we'll hope that the recorded permits and other documents take off so that we can fund more in future. But it was a very responsible distribution this year. And thanks, Bart. And thanks, Susan, for all of your help on this.
Thank you, Andy. Any other discussion?
So two things for me. One, you all know that the city of Vancouver passed their cultural access tax, and that's projected to raise about $7 million a year. And one of the requirements of that tax is that money be provided for school districts to get kids to heritage and cultural activities, which is awesome. Unfortunately, you have to live inside the city of Vancouver. It only is inside the city of Vancouver. So Hawkinson would not be eligible for that money, but hopefully Vancouver schools will take advantage of that and there'll be more field trips for, and I don't even know how they're going to do that with Evergreen and Vancouver school districts, since part of it lies outside the city's boundaries. So they'll have to figure that out. Second
Yeah.
thing, go ahead.
That's my question on that too, Jan, is because like I'm part of Vancouver School District, but like we lay out.
You're not inside the city limits.
It's going to be interesting to see how that, so then it's like, oh, well, only the South Side schools in each district get to go. It's interesting. So
Yeah, they're going to have to sort that out. But it's exciting that there's going to be money for those kinds of activities. Second thing is a suggestion is if I were you, Bart, for the 2 grants that you're going to do extensions on, in the staff report, I would put the dollar amounts and what projects those extensions are for, because it might save you a bunch of questions.
Good idea, Jan. And I think that might actually save us an entire going back to council if I wrote the memo slightly more detailed.
Yeah.
For that.
So if you can just get them to do it all at once instead of
Yeah.
them you needing to come back and do the extension, that would make a lot more sense.
I think you're right. I need to go back with Susan, and Susan did the legwork of talking to everyone who has current grants and need to figure out exactly who's going to be able to finish this year and who isn't. I have a pretty strong idea based on my conversation, but we need to double check those things before the end of the year. Thank you for that reminder, Jan.
Otherwise, I move to approve this.
Thank you, Jan, for that motion. Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Thanks, Morgan. So it's been moved and seconded that the historical promotion grants for 2026 be approved as stated. All in favor, please say aye.
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 Thank you for that unanimous endorsement. Any further new business? Seeing none, we'll move to old business. Susan, could you start the discussion regarding the budget update?
Absolutely. So I updated the budget with the information from the city. It includes all of the conferences that were attended. And the last time we spoke, we knew we were very close to being able to send one additional person to a conference, but that did not happen. So we are in the same position that we've been in the last few years. And we have $2,500 and no other planned expenditures for the rest of the year. So if anyone has anything that they've been thinking about that we could spend the money on before the end of the year, as you probably remember, we have to spend the funds, and if it's any sort of goods, we have to receive the goods before the end of the year as well. excuse me, as well. So I thought it would be good to have a discussion about that.
And one other thing, if I might, Chair Elaine Thatcher brought up more than once her desire to be able to get some of this funding to partner organizations and things like that. And Susan and I had to kind of go back to our discussion last year and look at our notes and think about our discussion with the attorneys. And just everyone needs to keep in mind that we can't, how should I phrase this, Susan? Someone would need to come to us with a specific ask versus us going out and saying, we like this organization, we want to give money to them, because that would be favoritism and we can't spend the money that way. And we can't do gifts either, like the gift basket idea that Heidi had last year. That was a non-starter, not because it wasn't a good idea, but just because it would violate state, funding rules.
So, John, I was going to ask, are there any National History Day registrations coming up between now and the end of the year?
We
You're
can't hear
muted.
you.
We would have to have people reach out to us, but one of the things that came to my mind is we were actually growing the competition in Southwest Washington. So Skyview is now going to have a program. Chief Umtuck has theirs and things. I'm wondering, I kind of have an idea of the schools, if they reached out to us, would we be able to send them money to help fund supplies for the programs or something like that? Because it does cost money to run those different things. We could divide it amongst we could send, that's my initial thought is Skyview, they're literally starting from scratch. So they have nothing as far as supplies and, stuff like that. So, but the other schools, there's Ridgefield, there's Camas, all within the county that could maybe use some funding to buy a printer so kids can actually print out the work. Cause I'll tell you, schools, the kids can't even print at schools.
Well, it's not as if you don't have other duties, John, but if we could get something for the December agenda, that would be
right. We would have, but correct me then, Bart, though, they would, they would have to come to us, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Susan and I are both furrowing our brow. I think we need to check very quickly and not let this sit, but check within the next few days about what the process would look like. Because I remember there are situations where people have come to the county council and said, I have, an ask for a particular program, but Susan and I don't have the authority to funnel the money differently. So we need to check on what that process would look like.
Mm-hmm.
As I do remember, of course, not last meeting, but in the September meeting, we had the same exact discussion, right? And I believe it was John and I think it was Jan. I have to go look in these notes. But there was some ideas thrown around about how to spend that money rather than sending another person to the conference. So it seems like there were some ideas floating around at that September.
Yeah, we bought some swag and things like that last year, the canopy and stuff. I thought,
yeah,
right?
yeah, no, it was really specific to what to do with this $2,500, and Susan and I are making eyes at each other because
I'm not to interrupt. A lot of that, I just was listening to the recording again, and most of the discussion involved what Elaine was bringing up, which again is very, very well intentioned, but kind of backwards of how we would
have to do things.
Have to do it. So that there was a lot of discussion. It was over 10 minutes, but it was mostly along those lines. And we have subsequently checked, and we can't just go pick something and say, here's a gift of money from this fund.
Yeah, the main example that we have where it was done a little bit differently was Brad came and asked for the commission to purchase a table at the, and I'm not going to remember the name of the organization correctly, but at a conference for that
Washington Museum
organization.
Association.
Thank you, Jan. And that was a very clear amount for a certain conference, and there was a benefit to the commission from that. You were able to have a table and information about the commission at that event. So that's a very clear, easy to understand example of something that is okay. When we start talking about what isn't okay, it does get very gray very quickly in the conversations that we've had with the folks who are advising us on this. But we will have that conversation again, especially regarding John's idea. So if there's any other specific ideas that you'd like us to run by that staff, we're happy to do that.
Hey, John, so who's the sponsoring organization for that event?
Yes. So for Southwest Washington, like my school's the host for the regional competition. Honestly, like the district's charging us more this year to even host it. We've usually been able to eat the cost, but like that's getting, because we're trying not to charge too much because we want kids to actually participate too. In theory, OSPI oversees all of it at the state level, but even that's now a little bit in flux because of budget crunches and stuff like that. So as of right now, it's still OSPI at the state level, but at the regional level, it's just, we've been asking $5 per student, to help pay for our janitorial for the day. And then, Reen Suhu and a couple others, like they volunteer to cook for the judges and things like that. It's all, kind of shoestring budget, trying to just make sure that we have something together for the kids.
So if the commission were to receive a proposal from your school asking for funding to support History Day,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that seems like that.
Sure. I don't know how I would have to recuse myself from that. Like,
Yeah. Yes, obviously.
And it would need to be something that could be spent this year.
Right.
Oh, so there's the kicker.
Well, yeah, I don't know if there's administrative costs and things like that. So we've put the seed back in everyone's brain. Everyone knows different people and the same people. So it's not Susan and my place to put our fingers on the scale of this. What our general restrictions are at this point. Networking can happen. Questions can be asked. We can run it up the chain and see what's appropriate and what isn't. And we have time. We have one more official meeting of this group. We always have the ability to call a special meeting if there's a decision that needs to happen. And we can always get things in front of our county council if it's quick and legitimate, but that hopefully it wouldn't have to get in front of them.
One question.
Yeah.
To approach this. Let's say there's a VIP ticket that has to be purchased in 2025 for this History Day that would be open to the public that the commissioners could attend, if essentially like creating an event to this History Day. I don't know, just a thought, a way to sponsor it.
Oh, creating an event around History Day.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there's different. I have lots of ideas now that like this is in my head, but like once again, the schools can always pay fees to us early, right? We don't have to collect them in January or February. So I'm just trying to think, what are the schools that attend, and I can reach out to them and say, hey, can you write a proposal or something? I don't know, but once again, then that becomes great. Yeah. It's an idea more for next. I don't know. I don't want to cross any barriers with this, but I love the support that we want to show the students and everything. Perhaps an offline chat between one or two of us can make some more headway on it.
Yeah, you guys know how to get a hold of us with ideas. I think it's important, and I'm not putting you on the spot, Jason, but I know you're online, and so if you have any thoughts about this, let us know.
Yeah,
Or
for
we can-
sure. And I did forward the email. There was a lengthy email from Trisha and Christine on this topic last year again, because we had the similar situation. And it specifically was around what's considered a gift of public funds and what can be used for education and outreach purposes. And also considering if the ILA is limiting what it says education and outreach can be, maybe we look to revise the ILA to be a little bit more far reaching to give us more flexibility to do the types of things you guys are talking about tonight. So that's another option we could do. That wouldn't obviously happen for this year with the ILA, but it could happen as part of next year's budget. But also keep in mind, like it's $2,500. I know it is a lot of money, but if you don't spend it, it doesn't carry forward, but it's not going to impact, next year's budget in terms of we're still going to give you the same amount of money. So it's there. I guess, yes, I understand the pressure, but there's also, I guess, what I'm saying is if you don't spend it all, it happens. It's okay.
I know this is just one last thing is, so I know OSPI, like if students make it to nationals, they cover the registration fees, right? So I don't know if this is a possibility, but if the donation was made to help cover all the fees from these different schools or something, and then obviously it would have to be made this year, but then the students in the schools don't have to foot the bill. Parents don't have to foot the bill for their kids to attend the competition.
Yeah, but we'll also have that budget for next year to pay for that for the
It
event.
just
So
like thinking ahead to that, something like that too. I appreciate that, Jason. Yeah.
yeah.
We'll figure out something. Thank you all. Anything else before we move on?
The next item is a status update on one of the open commissioner seats. Jason, could you provide an update, please?
Oh, I wish I could, Andy, but
Oh,
unfortunately,
wow.
I do not have an update to share other than
May I put no report?
No
Yeah,
report.
no.
I'll put this down.
The city council subcommittee did meet this past Saturday to review all the open board and commission positions to make their recommendations, but we have yet to see those recommendations. So I was pestering a couple of the admin staff today, asking them if they knew anything, and they did not, and they promised me they'd let me know by the end of the week. So as soon as I know, I can forward that on to Bart and we can let you know, but I still am hopeful that we'll have somebody on board for our December meeting.
Do we know how many applicants you got?
There were 3. I think it's just the same 3 that you all reviewed and recommended. Yeah.
Okay, thanks, Jason. I know that's
Yep.
frustrating for you.
Yes, it is. Thank you for understanding.
Okay, we're going to move now to commission announcements and discussion of events. I'd like to start with the City of Vancouver Boards and Bagels event in September that I attended. And it was remarkable because not only to meet people who were visiting, members of the public, but to meet job-alike people from other commissions and boards. And it was really well attended, and people went from table to table. And in the 2 hours that I was there, I noticed that I had extended conversations with a few people. It's not like there were many people for short explanations, but in-depth conversations with folks who had general questions about Clark County history and about Vancouver history and about business places and schools. And so it was more information sharing on my part. And even though we only received a few interested parties for potential participation with Historic Preservation Commission, the few people who did sign up were outstanding candidates, any of whom would have made very fine commission applicants. And so, since this was the first time that this event took place on a Saturday morning when the farmers market was in operation, we had no shortage of participants. And I also wanted to have Jason hear this, that I really appreciated the fact that the organizer of the event provided parking for the guests from the various boards and commissions. So I wrote a specific email to the coordinators thanking them for that kindness. And so next year, I would encourage the commission to take part in it again. And thanks to Jason for leaving the swag materials and the cool stickers and that kind of stuff for me to distribute. So that's my report. Any questions?
Yeah, thanks, Andy, for attending. We really appreciate it. I know I heard a lot of good things about its turnout. And again, this will be an annual thing for the city. This is something new we're doing as we've revamped our boards and commission recruitment process. So likely to occur at the same time next year. So thank you.
And I think it's fair to add at this time that some of our fellow commissioners and fellow board participants were unaware of the twice a year review policy for new applicants. And so we did get a chance to meet the new director who oversees the boards and commissions. And somebody from Parks said that they know this person and will put the word out that we need to have more frequent application reviews on the part of counselors. So that might be a helpful outcome too. So Bart, can you give us an update on how Leadership Clark County History Workshop went at the Pomeroy Farm?
Yeah, it was beautiful day like the year before. And for those of you who don't know what Leadership Clark County is, I think most of you do, except maybe Madison. I don't know if you've heard of it. Okay. So anyway, Leadership Clark County has, it's actually like their first big retreat week day of their sessions usually. And somehow Brad has gotten it to be completely focused on the history and culture, cultural history of the region. So it's great. And they have now kind of a steady hosting location at Pomeroy Farm, which is, really neat. And so he invites us, Tina, the executive director, and Brad invite us every year to participate in the roundtable discussions. And, you never know what kind of questions you're going to get. It goes all over the place depending on the type of folks that they have participating, but it was really good. And so I will continue, if at all possible, to staff that. And one or two folks from this group are more than welcome. I'll always remind people of it beforehand if people can spare the time. Any questions?
Thanks, Bart.
Oh, no problem.
Morgan, would you like to review your recent experience at a national conference?
Yeah, my experience was great. Milwaukee is a great town. Actually really reminded me of old Portland in a lot of ways. And they've done some really amazing things, like including transforming the Pabst Brewing conglomeration of I don't know, maybe 15 blocks in the city. And they've turned it into like affordable housing and student housing and different kind of business models with that. The one big thing that I did get from the conference, from a lot of different speakers, was, the current climate that we're in in historic preservation is really going to start having to come once again from like grassroots organizations. And, you know, in the past, people have really relied on federal grants and things to be able to do the things that they like to do. And it's really, I was thinking about this actually, because I was thinking about, you know, how many people in Vancouver love the history of Vancouver. You know, they really just love it. And it's those people in Milwaukee that really loved the history of their town, you know, and it really was Joe Schmo guy who really was like, I want to buy this brewery. People were like, you can't buy that brewery. He's like, I'm going to totally somehow figure this out. And he did. And he partnered with other organizations and just did this really fantastic thing. So I think that there was a lot of experiences to be had. I think when they are in a city like Milwaukee, which is pretty much the size of Vancouver, it, you know, would have been nice to have, and I've said this at other conferences I go to, but they're getting closer to the West Coast. They're moving west. I don't know where the next one is. I'm thinking Colorado, but it'd be nice to have some of our officials come and listen to some of these talks about how to use your money and how to revamp some of these things and the value in them. You know, like they redid their historic theaters in different ways. They probably have like a dozen historic theaters from an area as far as like Camas to Vancouver. And they bring in so much revenue for the city. It is insane how many people come to Milwaukee to go to their shows. And, you know, it's kind of in a lot of ways what Vancouver's doing, you know, with building up with hotels and things, but it's also about trying to bring in some bigger industry, right? Because they had a thriving downtown. Whereas at lunch, all the places were busy, you know, like people were walking around. And one of the things that I noticed was downtown, they had hotels, but then they had big businesses like Milwaukee Tool was downtown.
Briggs and Stratton.
Kohl's was downtown. Like they had they took one of the old, pretty much probably a department store, and they turned it into their headquarters, and it's a historic building. So they really have done some really creative things to draw some bigger businesses into, which has helped kind of revamp that area. So that was really cool. And then the last day I took a field trip and I got to go out into Wisconsin and look at a bunch of mound sites with their TIPO. And it was just really interesting to hear about how they're being protected and how they're being identified and how blessed we are to be like in Washington State with some of the laws that we have. Because in the Midwest, the only really strong laws that they have are about burials. So, you know, sites of cultural significance get plowed over often because they're not burial sites and there's no protection for them at all.
I see what you did there.
So it's really awesome what we do here in Washington State because we really do have some really strong environmental laws, which allows me to do the work that I get to do, which is so fun. But it was also really nice to connect with the tribal leader there, and he's made it his mission to really educate people. And he goes, I think he said in the past couple weeks that I talked to him, he'd been to like 12 states. They drive there. They drive everywhere. They're crazy. They just drive everywhere. So that was really a great like cherry on the top of the conference for me, because this conference, whereas I love historic preservation and that is something I do also, you know, that's what it really, really focuses on. And more like Doug, I'm used to going to conferences where there are a bunch of dirty archaeologists and we're just talking about Paleo Indians and, you know, going to get a beer. And, you know, it's just a little bit different of a conference. So that last day, being able to go out and really enjoy the landscape with other archaeologists and connect with other archaeologists was really great. And share some ideas, you know, because they're building their programs there, and give them some ideas of what we do out here and how we we get some more preservation done. So highly recommend that conference. It is just fantastic.
Thanks, Morgan. Okay, moving on to subcommittee updates and announcements. Anything from demolition and code updates?
This is Bart. I am going to be meeting with the building official and the fire marshal / code enforcement head for another item, and I intend to also bring up our needs for what we've discussed with Morgan on this. I don't think that there's going to be any major issue, but it's not something that I've been able to, haven't created the documents yet. One thing I will mention to Morgan, which is funny because I've spent so many hours looking at our code and our little section of historic code. And if you scroll all the way down to the bottom of it, at the very bottom of our code, there's a line specifically about documenting demolished properties. I didn't even know it was there. I had no reason to scroll down to the bottom of it before, but I think we're in good standing to push this forward and have the same thing that Jason worked on in the city. It's just we are really slammed in our department right now, and so we're trying to serve this commission as best we can and also keep our big projects moving. So I hope you all understand that. Outreach, Susan and I have had several conversations with Elaine off and on about things over the last month. I know Elaine is very passionately working on promoting several things, but I don't want to speak for her. She'll be here next meeting. She just had an unavoidable scheduling conflict today. What I will say for her is that she's working hard to keep the sign up spreadsheet with active projects. So don't forget that that's there, and let her know if you want to put anything on it or sign up for anything.
Where is
Very
this
good.
information located?
Come again?
It's a Google Doc.
Okay.
Maybe she just needs to get sent the link.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear.
Just curious where the sign up sheet lives.
The Google document. She's wondering how to access it.
Oh, yes. We just need to add you.
Okay.
For some reason, and I actually need to get Elaine to add me back into, I don't know why, but my Google account for the county somehow got deleted. And so I'm not on there right now either. And so I need to get Elaine to add me back in. And I think she has to add me and then I have to add you for some reason. I'm not highly, yeah, I will work on that. Sorry about that.
I'm writing it in capital letters. Madison Google Doc.
Well, I'm in it right now. Like literally, I can add people.
Okay, well,
Madison
Great.
has we have an email for you in there, Madison.
okay, well, maybe just even if we could get her the link, then.
Yep. Yep, I can do that.
Thanks, John.
That's what happens
Yeah.
when you leave the teacher at home in front of his computer.
All right. Checking
Present
that off
company
my
excluded.
list. All right. Yes.
I mean, I am a Google certified innovator, so you know.
There you go.
All right.
And I
He
am.
said, if you have any questions around it, just let me know.
Thank you, John. Yeah, we'll when
And Madison, I'll just email it to that email that's in there, and then
Great. Thank you.
and I'll
and
circle
Susan, I
back
can
with
make sure
Elaine.
you're on there too.
Appreciate it.
That would be great.
Any comments from outreach?
That was outreach, Andy. That Elaine and John and I.
Oh dear. How
No,
about
you're
the
right on
design
schedule.
and web?
That's why
We
I
are
consider-
on, well, design and web is me and Susan. And
Right.
the rest of our work is on hold until Susan gets unburied from some of the other stuff she's working on. And until county IT department has time to take on the design work we need for the maps.
Maybe we'll revisit next year.
Great.
We've been told to leave GIS alone except for essential tasks till the comp plan is
Win.
done.
That's good to know. Any further questions or comments from commissioners? Well, with that, we'll move on to good of the order. Are there any comments for the good of the order?
I wish I was where you are.
Yeah, I'll just say I was able. Sorry, I was muted before. I was able to attend the Clark County History Museum annual fundraiser.
Oh, yeah.
It was a great event. It was a lot of fun, and I did get to participate in one of the haunted Vancouver things just like last week or so, hosted by Brad Richardson, and then I believe Tracy had to sub in for Pat Gelato, who was ill, but it was a cool event, and it was all about haunted Clark County, Vancouver stories, and we got to dress up in Victorian era costume and everything
Oh,
too.
fun.
It was at Hidden House, so really cool event. I'll just say, like, if anyone ever gets a chance to do that, Brad has done a great job with those like walking tours that the county museum hosts. They're very informative, a lot of fun, and good company and everything. So great events.
We'll say the museum hit their fundraising goal for the year, which was great. Brad had to go put the arm on someone the next day to kick in $1,000 to make the fundraising goal, but we hit it.
Yes.
It is a very difficult year for nonprofits, especially small nonprofits, because a lot of the big nonprofits are struggling and are going after the same dollars that typically the small nonprofits look at. So the museum is proposing a significantly reduced budget for 2026. So we'll see how that impacts the programming that they're able to do. We just want to keep the doors open and the lights on. But yeah, he's really concerned about what's going to happen this next year with the museum's ability to raise funds. I will say I am right now in Tucson, Arizona, which turns out it is Mid-Century Modern Week in Tucson, Arizona, which I had no idea. So my husband and I are going on, Mid-Century Modern home tours and a few other things. And we had no idea when we got here. And there is a historic district in Tucson focused on Mid-Century Modern.
Yeah.
So we were looking up where it was, and it's like, oh, look, there's all this stuff going on. So hopefully that'll be educational.
Good. We have Mid-Century Modern Week here in February. And so I'm glad to hear it's alive and well in Tucson as well.
And Milwaukee.
And Milwaukee. Hey, Morgan, as long as we're on good of the order, and congratulations for going to that conference. Did you get to visit the Pabst Theater?
Yes, I did.
Oh, I'm jealous. Was it beautiful?
It was. I mean, they had countless theaters. Like, I haven't been around that many theaters since like being in New York or something, there was that many quality shows, and I would have never thought the draw for Milwaukee. But then once I was there, I mean, I was even drawn to Milwaukee. Oh, especially their airport. It was so small, and you could just like walk right in, It was very charming for such a big town.
Very cool. Thanks for sharing that.
Yeah. Everyone should go visit.
Anything further? Well, thanks everybody. It was great to see everyone. We'll be convening early in December, and hopefully everybody will be there, and maybe we'll even have a new commissioner we can welcome in.
Yep.
So hopeful.
December 3rd. Keep it on your
Yeah.
calendars.
We'll see. Yeah.
Yep.
Anything else?
I'd just like to say, as we get into this holiday season, it's a pleasure to work with everyone. And if you celebrate any of the holidays coming up, I hope you have a great holiday season.
Very good. Well, I guess I'll take a motion to adjourn
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
by Morgan Fraser. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Madison. Very good. It's been moved and seconded that the meeting be adjourned. All in favor, say aye.
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 Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you, Andy. Good night.
Good night. Get some rest, everyone.